again, everyone. It's This Week in Agribusiness meteorologist Greg Solier. We're back in for Max Armstrong. Welcome to Farm Progress Dateline Drought. Our continuing coverage of the drought in 2012 is brought to you by Genuity Drought Guard Hybrids. Well, that weather pattern reverting back to what it ought to be for the wintertime and January calendar date. Gone that early spring-like feel. At least it is certainly on the way out. Recent snowmelt as well as rainfall leading to soft and muddy grounds ponding out there. All of that, if not most of it, playing out over the Corn Belt. Areas back west towards the Missouri transition back into, again, a more typical scenario is underway, complete with blizzard issues and conditions, with outdoor work, movement of feed and supplies from the Nebraska Panhandle northeast into the Red River Valley of the north, including the eastern Dakotas, western and northern Minnesota. As that cold air settles to the east and south, watch those bin and barn walls. We'll see about a 30-degree temperature swing back down to lows in the single digits, teens and 20s across the Corn Belt over the course of the weekend. And again, average highs generally in the teens and 20s, north 30s at the Ohio, play out by the back end of the weekend. That transition will feature more rain. We've seen quarter to three-quarter in some spots for the Central Belt and Great Lakes region upwards of about an inch and a quarter. And along with that snowmelt issue, some ponding out there, but we'll firm it up and freeze it up good and tight with that cold air. And that transition from rain to a spell of freezing rain to sleet and snow over the course of the weekend, recoating maybe an inch or two in some areas of the west central and central Corn Belt, Missouri and central and northern Illinois, for example, and maybe just a thin coating towards the Ohio. Weather pattern back into the polar vortex mode, meaning cold air and upper over low over the eastern Canadian prairie. Northwest to southeast disturbances will be frequent. Snows will be added through the northern plains, upper Midwest, Great Lakes region, bypassing the key drought areas west of the Missouri. And each time these disturbances move on through, not only a dash of snow to the central and southern Corn Belt, but a reinforcing push of cold weather, and the cold air looks like it'll be sticking around as we wind down through the balance of the month of January, as it ought to be. Onto that upper air configuration, and it basically plays out like this. Again, a northwest to southeast orientation along these green lines. Here's this polar vortex across the central Canadian prairie up towards Hudson Bay, Baffin Island, and James Bay. Disturbances will run down through this part of the country, with snows probably seeing the greatest frequency and amount in the northern plains, Great Lakes region, northern and eastern Corn Belt. Meanwhile, here's how temperatures play out. Some moderation back west of the Missouri over the next couple of weeks as we advance into the third and fourth week of January. Obviously, alternate thaw and freeze cycles, the cold over the eastern half of the country. And from a moisture standpoint, by and large, it is here through the southern Canadian prairie, the Great Lakes region, the northeast of New England. The key drought area is still left high and dry with an absence of any real substantial snow cover. So again, typical January weather on the maps and charts. That is a check on weather. Hope to see you this weekend on This Week in Agribusiness. On to Bryce Nor to look at markets.
USDA's January crop reports were much anticipated by farmers and ranchers, and the agency didn't disappoint those looking for news today. Both bulls and bears found fuel for their arguments, producing a volatile session of trading. The biggest surprise came in the agency's estimate of December 1st corn stocks of just over 8 billion bushels. That sounds like a lot of grains, but it was around 300 million bushels less than expected and implied strong feed usage during the first quarter of the marketing year. That increase was partly offset by weaker exports, which fell by 200 million bushels, and also by a crop that was 55 million bushels bigger. The resulting net decline of 45 million bushels in ending stocks that were already tight helped rally corn futures sharply. March futures faded those gains by the close, but still settled a dime higher at 7.08 3/4. The need to ration corn, especially in the livestock sector, caused USDA to increase its forecast for wheat feeding during the rest of the marketing year, helping take 38 million bushels off 2012 wheat carryout. But the number that really got bulls' attention was the USDA's estimate of winter wheat seedings. The agency's first look put seedings at 41.8 million, close to our farm futures survey, but 500,000 acres below trade expectations. Wheat followed corn sharply higher and also eased some by the close. Chicago March ended 10 1/4 higher at 754 3/4. Kansas City was up 10 1/2 to 807, and Minneapolis gained 6 to 845 1/4. Soybeans were the odd man out of this bullish atmosphere. USDA raised its forecast of ending stocks only 5 million bushels, with stronger crush offsetting most of a 44 million bushel increase in the size of the crop. But the lack of any bullish news at a time when prices were already soft sent March futures to new 6-month lows. Just as corn and wheat faded highs, beans bounced well off its lows, with March finishing only 6 1/4 lower to 13.73 1/4. Keep up with the drought situation across the country by visiting www.datelinedrought.com.